mentioned it to Jen, is that, and I'll say some of our professional candidates go out and they copy or take notes from your interview. And I thought it was a bit out of proportion for them to be doing something, of taking copies of what you people are working so hard and diligently to provide to the public. And I know they went back to candidates and said, oh, you work for so-and-so, or you haven't done this, have done that, your husband does this. And I believe that some things on there are of a personal nature, and I'm glad you pointed out if there's an objection to it, that we can come forward and ask you to eliminate that.
Okay, appreciate that. Since the primary and the success that you've had in the spring, we're wondering what types of things you might have been doing to better prepare for this job, whether you're investigating more of how the county operates, whether you spent more time at the Home Rule Charter, transition committee meetings, those types of things.
Well, I've tried to attend every transition meeting. Some of them I find are redundant. Would they go over the same things over and over, and after things are voted on, which you can bring it up and ask for a recount or a public vote, but the transition meetings were long, and as I said, some of the topics that were discussed, already voted on, passed, they brought up for discussion again. And I believe they should have had their priorities set and moved on to better inform all the people that were there. And there were a lot of people there that got up and walked out. I, not being one of them, but they did get up and leave, and they just couldn't waste time. I've gone out and talked to the people. I've tried to attend every event that has gone on out there, whether it's for the judicial candidates, whether it's for the council candidates, whether it's local politics or not. I feel that all of this is in a sense, retaliation against what Luzerne County has done to the public out there. I believe that the Home Rule Charter was not so much as a voice of the people as much as it was to voice change in government. Half of your people, better than half of your people, I would say, don't know or haven't really read or know what the Home Rule Charter contains, or what they'd like to see different or amended in there. And there are things that I'd like to see amended, like I would like to see a better ethical policy, a better hiring policy. I'd like to see more teeth in it. I'd like to see a firing policy added to it, which has more teeth in it, and not one of these things, you give them a chance to explain their position, the employee or whatever, but if facts are facts, they don't go off with pay for 60 days or 90 days. If I got fired from a job, I got fired. And that was it. I mean, there was no pay. You were let go. And I believe, as council members and an advisory committee toward the general manager, is that we're going to have to let him know that, this is what we feel as individuals. As a group, they might feel different. I don't see where I don't like the idea of a majority being on this council. And right now the people are out there and they're plugging, push straight D, push straight R. To me, this isn't what it's about this time. We're out there for change. We want change. I'd like to see women on the council. We have no minority members on the council. We're actually going to have to solicit their input. I've talked to Mr. Ron Felton, and he didn't voice surprise, but to the point that he said, well, nobody really ran on a minority of any sort for council. And I turned and said, well, that's not my problem. It really isn't, but I will stand up for rights or what I feel, the public want to bring out. The young 18, 19-year-old voters now are the future. They're taking up political sciences in our colleges. And there are a lot of minorities there, and we have to encourage everybody, minorities, women, and so on, to step forward, to be a part of this county. my belief, and my wife, and after 4 daughters, you know, and I've got 2 lawyers, a school teacher over here at GAR, a social and domestic relations worker. You know, I already know what they feel, and I know what they want to see involved. The teacher from GAR said, you know, you got to build these kids up. You've got to make them want a future, and we've got to make this younger generation be a part of it and that they have a future.
Let me ask you about your experience with the transition committee meetings. You say you've attended a number of those. Are you comfortable that group, with its many responsibilities, is on pace to be where it needs to be come January, or do you have concerns about particular things?
I have concerns of being able to jump right in there and take over every office that's in there. They advertise for employees to apply and everything else. We're taking office on January the 2nd. And you expect us to interview and talk to these people and rehire, replace, fire? It's going to be a monumental task. Totally monumental. I don't see how it can be accomplished in the time period that they're looking at. I believe we're going to see an interim county manager for the first 6 months of it, because we're going to have to get to know him. He's going to have to get to know us and get to know Luzerne County.
If you're successful, if you're elected to this group, how much time do you expect to spend fulfilling those duties?
It is going to be full-time, and I'd like, once again pointed out, these people that have other jobs or other businesses or other concerns, I'm retired. I've dedicated myself. I've 35 years of business experience in Luzerne County. I started off borrowing $5,000 and built it into a $1 million operation before, my son didn't want it, my daughters didn't want it. We closed the door, parted with the equipment, and right now I have half the equipment. I spent helping it with everybody with the flood. I had generators sitting up in my warehouse. We took them out, plugged people in. It's going to be better than an 8-hour day. You're going to go home with notes and wake up wondering, what can I move on to next? Are the other people going to be prepared to make a decision on this? We've got to make a decision in 72 hours. Are we going to be ready? Are we going to be able to step forward?
Based on that being your opinion on how much time and work will be required, there are some people running that have pretty busy professional lives still. I mean, some of them might win and be serving on the council. Would that be a problem for you if you were working with them?
If they do their work, and I picture this thing as everybody on council being maybe assigned to one department to review it. I'm not saying with a fine-tooth comb, but to bring out the bigger aspects of it. And if they do their job and they're able to report back on this, being able to give us full knowledge of what's going on in there, then I have no problem with it. But if they're going to miss meetings or miss a report or say, well, I didn't finish it, then I'm going to have a problem with it.
Do you think if it's appropriate, if you're a council member, that you have a daily or a weekly presence in the courthouse? Or would you prefer to have some other means of access for the public and even county employees to get a hold of you?
I feel they should be able to get a hold of us at any time. And if there's any reason for me to be in there, I'm available. I have no problem going in there. I know a lot of people in there. I talk to a lot of people. I have no problem going in, and even if I just went in the cafeteria for a cup of coffee, I have no problem being there. My schedule is open. If they want to email me or talk to me later, I feel as though it's my responsibility to be open to the employees, to be open to the other council members. You got to be open clear up to the sheriff's department, the district attorney, the judges. You've got to be open to them, or else you don't belong there. We're going to do a big task. We're undertaking something, and I just hope everybody, even the public, realizes what we're undertaking, and I'm undertaking it for them. I mean, I can live out the rest of my life and just look at everybody and say, yeah, we should have. But it's not me.
If elected, would you vote to approve the appointment of a relative to a county authority, board, or commission?
My answer to that is going to be plain, simple, no.
No further.
My family did the same thing. My daughter, the one that's a teacher, my daughter's, her and her husband are lawyers down in Harrisburg. My other daughter's a school teacher over here, and I knew everybody up in Wyoming area. I knew everybody over in Pittston area. And my daughter turned right around and said, no, nobody's going to pull strings for me. Nobody's going to be able to say this happened because of your dad.
Okay. You referred earlier to your business experience, and that might fit into this next question, which is, do you feel you have an area of expertise that you would bring to this council, be it experience in numbers and budgeting, or a legal background, or experience in contract negotiations? Is there something you can point to that you think would be a real asset?
I think you touched on every one of them. I bring the business experience, I bring the contract experience, I bring negotiations for contracts. We've worked out in California, we worked in Florida. We worked for Jewel Corps. We did stores in both California, down in Harrisburg, Florida, and we basically traveled all over. We did and performed work in over 200 Rite Aid drugstores. We did Lowe's stores, Home Depots. I mean, contracts and the size of them and the employees weren't a problem. And we never ran into a problem on a job, never had a job that we didn't complete on time. Our bonding, our insurances stand till this day.
Okay. Aside from skills like that, are there characteristics or attributes that you think you have that would be an asset to this group when it gets together?
I think just having full knowledge of, back in the service, I attended Hunter University and Long Island University and just took general courses. When I come out of the service after 2 tours overseas, I was the first graduating class of LCC, starting with architectural engineering. And I found it wasn't my thing. I went to Penn State and I tried, and I got a degree. I said, well, let me try mechanical engineering. That wasn't my forte. And then I went to electrical engineering. And I found something that, putting the 3 of them together, that I can really indulge my mind into. And I got interested in geodesic domes and structures, and and now we see them down in New Orleans and all over these places where they weren't really thought of before. I'm open, I'm fully knowledgeable about what can go on in construction. Years ago, when one of our judges mentioned closing the juvenile detention center, and I turned around and I said, why? There isn't a damn thing wrong with it. And I had been in it. And to this day, it's still standing, and they use it for storage. I'd like to be able, as a council member, be able to do a walkthrough of the Luzerne, or the Hotel Sterling. There's other people there. We're at a stage with that, we don't know who to believe. I believe that, the upper floors have so much damage on them. We can perform miracles with cranes and structures. Why can't we remove the upper floors before we remove it? Build an inside structure, inside a structure, and maybe preserve the bottom floors. Close off the basement or fill it full of concrete if you want. Make the first floor, we'll just say, an open menu to anybody that wants to come in and look at the marble walls. And the upper floors, not have apartments or townhouses. You can have some of your premier type office buildings. I just can't believe, after being in that structure so many times, that it is at a point that it's totally disarray. It's hard to believe. I'd like to see it. I've asked, but they turned around and told me, well, we can't let anybody into the structure. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has that problem.
Regarding this council, this group, when it comes together in January, one of its toughest tasks probably is going to be coming up with a workable budget, a spending plan that's going to be practical. Do you have ideas for specific areas where you think costs might be able to be cut? And on the flip side of that, are there areas, revenues, that you think maybe the county's missing out on for one reason or another?
I think one of the main things we have to go, and it might hurt feelings and everything else, but we've got to look at every department and the employees that they have. The other day I noticed in the Times Leader, There was an article where the commissioners hired 4 new people. And you really look into it, they gave them contracts to 2015. I mean, that's like a lame duck action. You know, it wasn't fair to the council members that are coming in, because that means they've got a written contract. We can't do anything about it till 2015. There should have been a clause in it saying, well, as the new council comes in and takes control, they will have a right to review your contract. It would be very simple, but you just can't give them an open-ended contract. I still look at the vehicles. And I know Walter Griffith had mentioned it in different times. I look at the use of gas. I look at the ones that are taking them home. You know, you have one person on call, we'll say for the Sheriff's Department, for the DA Department. I'd rather pay them mileage for using their own vehicle than to have a specific brand new car. I can see if it has to be a criminal lab vehicle, but you know, they would have to come back to the county and pick that vehicle up. If someone is dead, if they're killed or murdered, you getting there straight from your home, if you're going through Wilkes-Barre or past the vehicle center, there isn't any reason why you can't pick it up on the way. If it's an emergency, it can be stated. You don't worry about the vehicle, get here. I believe there's room for saving dollars out there. And I believe that the budget, you know, I look 12 years ago when our budget for Luzerne County was 25.6 million, and Skrupnik and Vonderheit at that time turned around and said, oh, it's going to come in around 12 million, 13 million. After they were elected, we saw a budget of 25 million. You can't, we're at the stage now, you can't bull the people. You can't lie to them. You've got to, if you're open to them and you come out and say, this is going to cost us, you know, then it's there. You can turn around and say, I told you so. If you have a question, call me.
On the subject of county workforce, you talked about, what do you think is a reasonable fringe benefit package for county employees? Things such as the number of vacation days, number of sick days.
Well, our local colleges have a policy, and other big corporations have a policy, either use them or lose them with your sick days. You can't sell them back. Your vacations, and this, of course, I wouldn't want this mentioned, but King's College turns around and their policy is use them or lose them. If you don't take them, you lose them. My wife's been there 25 years, and they work something out in their office, even though they don't, you know, they don't have a staff big enough to take time off. But, you know, they might take off a Friday and a Monday, and somebody will cover for them those 2 days because it's the best time. If it's an emergency and you have to have a leave or leave of time, I mean, the college understands, and Father O'Hara always understands. He emphasized that to them. Father Ryan's the same way. But you know, that is my outlook on it. I cannot see somebody selling 200 or 300 days back to the county at premium prices, and they get the prices as the pay raise goes up also.
What do you feel is the county's responsibility in terms of funding outside organizations, things like public libraries?
Well, right now, one of our libraries that needs some funding is the West Pittston Library. I had a truckload of books coming from Whitehaven ready to be delivered to them, and my understanding is they went to the county and asked if the county can store them, and they never got an answer back. I believe the county has to be more applicable to the needs of public library, and I remember when I was a young lad going to the Hoyt Library all the time, and always reading. You know, you always took a book out. There wasn't any charges or anything else at that time. If you had a late fee, it was like $1, or I mean a penny a day or something. You know, there was nobody killing you. Now, if you took that same book back, you know, they want to charge you about 10 times the cost of the book. But I believe the county should be more open to, and once again, that's a public need. You know, they want a way to keep more kids off the street. open up the libraries to them, give the libraries the benefit of some of the used electronic equipment that might be leaving some of the public buildings. Don't charge them for it or say come down and look at it. You know, make sure that it's applicable to their needs and just give it to them. Say, you know, we're done with it. The county, the public already paid for it. You know, if you need 6 of these, well, we'll give you 7 in case one breaks. Don't take them to the public recycling bin and let somebody else make the dollar off them.
If elected, would you bring a particular issue before the council? Is there something you're passionate about that you're talking about in your campaign? Some candidates are talking about environmental issues, others are talking about taxation issues and property taxes, or do you feel it's up to the county manager to bring the issues to the table and then the council discuss them from there?
I think that is going to be part of the everyday operation of the county manager. He's going to have these in front of him. He's going to have the facts sitting there, and he should be coming back and questioning us. We shouldn't try to give him day-to-day operations or what he should be doing. I'm going to have things that, you know, I might do in email form or letter form, however he would like it, that I would like to see done or investigated. And I already stated what those are, and that's, you know, our taxes. I still think reassessment was a major factor that wasn't done right for the public. I believe more people could have come forward and actually got their reassessment lowered if they would have taken the time. I believe the county just overdid what they were doing, and I mean, I went before their boards for hearings and everything else, and I had to go out and have pay for my own reappraisals, and then the county wanted a copy of my appraisals, only to find out the only ones they had were the people that came and looked at my property, took pictures and measured. If you're going to do a reassessment, you better have your facts sitting in front of me. So if you're going to argue with me or discuss something, they told me I had a well on one property. They had it appraised at $36,000. I proved to them there wasn't a well, and they lowered it to $12,000. Because I told them if there's a well on it, I'll pay you $36,000. No well, down to $12,000. I don't believe they had the people that they were sending out there had the real property experience or being able to appraise it. The woman I had from Harvey's Lake, you know, she went over every little thing, pictures inside, outside, and she did an appraisal. And I paid for it, and like I said, the only way I could do anything in the county, when Mr. Lou wouldn't do anything unless I gave him a copy of it. And you know, if I'm going to pay $400 for an appraisal and you want a copy, then you should pay me too.
If you're elected to this group, would you be interested in serving as the chairperson? And if not, what qualities would you be looking for in a chair for the county council?
I would not be interested in looking at being a chairperson. I would like, if there was an advisory person or 2 people that might bring things to the chairperson or an assistant chair, I would be open to that. I feel there are other people that have as much knowledge, have as much awareness in Luzerne County, have visited with the people, and I would be open to looking at what they would bring in favor of themselves being the chairperson in lieu of me then. Okay. If they bring more to the table than I do, then I can see fit that, and if they're going to be able to spend the time. I don't want them passing the buck back to the assistant chair or whatever it might be. I think we need a very open mind and somebody that's familiar with all aspects of Luzerne County. We don't need somebody that's going to sit there and say, well, excuse me, that I've been there, I've done it before. When, you know, we're all going to be starting on the bottom of the ladder. We're all on the bottom rung. What we bring to the table and to each other is only going to benefit this council.
Any questions from the group at this point?
I'll ask the question that Joe Buckowitz had been asking. How much have you planned or have you spent on your campaign?
I'll tell you, I didn't spend anything on the primary campaign. I did not spend a penny. I wanted voter recognition, and that is what I got. I wanted people to remember that I was there, that I've served them before, that I've ran for other offices, and I was successful with my party. You know, I narrowly lost to Phyllis Mundy for state rep the second time I ran. And I felt the people remembered this.
Right.
As far as this election this time, I've got to step out to the people, touch a few more bases, and I can be almost punctual and say I will not spend more than $2,000. And my wife has not limited me.
Have you received any contributions?
No, and I will not accept any. It's just a thing, it's a personal thing. I want to do this on my own.
Are you working as part of a group at all to help each?
I will not work with any other group or other candidates. As I said early, there's groups out there that, you know, I was asked. I'll tell you, I was asked, and I turned around and voiced my opinion and objections against some, and I was told, oh, don't worry about that. We can handle them. We can work that out. So, and that when they said we, it automatically told me, and then I went a little deeper with it. And you know, I don't need that. I don't need any ties to any one person.
Is the party offering assistance of any sort to your campaign?
No, they have not. They have not offered any. Most of the things that go on with my party, I don't know about. I hear it by word of mouth, or by somebody else telling me or asking me, are you going to this, or have you heard this? But they have not offered anything. They know, even though I'm a party member, I've been a committee person for 39 years, that I'm my own person, and I won't be influenced by what goes on in their little headquarters.
Are you satisfied with this endorsement interview, that we asked the appropriate questions and you had a chance to answer?
I've answered everything I want to, and probably more. I want to thank the Times Leader for their last endorsement. I'll have to say it didn't come as a surprise, because I felt I was qualified, and I felt that I answered truthfully.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you about this time that you particularly want to mention, or anything that we might have glossed over that you want to spend more time on?
The only thing I'd like to mention is, you know, I feel that family values and what you've done with your early life is very important. And one of the very first things was, you know, serving my country. Married, 5 children, education, and pursuing these goals, and having my kids, my children, realizing what values are out there and having enough influence on them that they went out and achieved. I have 2 grandchildren. I love the both of them. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I wasn't here at 11 o'clock. I had to go pick somebody up and drop somebody off, and I explained that to Carol. And, you know, she understood there was no problem. You can't tell grandkids no when they turn around and say, "Grandpop."
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate you being here to have a conversation. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.